don't know. We'll work through it. No big deal. How's everyone today?
Wonderful.
We've got a little sound thing going on. We'll get the sound guy down here, but until then, I'll talk as loud as I possibly can. If you didn't hear anything, tell me to repeat. If you have any questions that come up as we go along, feel free to interrupt me, raise your hand or whatnot. I do not have a line of thought or a train of thought. My mom told me at a very young age that I don't have one, so I don't have to worry about that part. And at this particular moment, I'm going to take 2 seconds to say thank you to a person who's gotten me to where I am today and why I'm here at Lake Shore talking to individuals. That's my mom. I put her in the ground on Monday, and if it wasn't for her, I would have never trained my first dog. I wouldn't have had a dog at home. I wouldn't understand dog training, and I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do now. A little bit about my background. My life has gone to the dog. I wanted to be the world's leading expert in charge of dog training and dog information. I haven't reached that yet because X is an unknown quantity and the spirit is a drip under pressure. I can't be either one of those. So when you look at dog training, I went through training with Bob Gates, Richard Walters. I trained with a lot of field trainers all over the country. I trained overseas in Europe. I trained in Italy. I trained in London. I trained in France. I trained all over just to learn the aspects and ins and outs about dog training. What I found over training over the years is it's not about the dog, it's about your information. I also found out that when you come to training your dog, people have these expectations of their animal, but oftentimes they don't know how to get to those expectations of that animal. They go out and they buy a dog, they buy a puppy, they go through game fair, they pick up a retriever, they pick up a pointer, they pick up a setter, and they have these expectations of their animal. Today I'm going to take a dog out of the crowd. I'm going to show you how to take those expectations from that belief to what you want out of your dog. Okay? We start out with the basic obedience. When you look at basic obedience and understanding what basic obedience means, your puppy within the litter, there we go. The puppy within the litter, the puppy within the litter starts their training from day one. And that training goes, the mother starts teaching them, I want you to do this, I don't want you to do that. They start nursing. Okay? When mom's done nursing them, she tells them to stop. And guess what? The puppies learn what that word means, or what that growl, whine, or cry means. But along with the mother's whine, cry, or growl, when she's communicating with her young dog, she applies a physical side. It's usually pressure. When you look at the pressure that the mother gives, she grabs, bites, and squeezes. She gets the desired response that she wants. She lets up off the pressure. Well, in the human world, we want to mimic that training mechanism. And we start out with a slip lead. Anybody seen a dog walking down the street with a choke chain on? The dog gets into that choke chain and just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. And the owner says, won't this dog ever stop? Or why doesn't this dog stop? The why that the dog doesn't stop is because a dog's been trained to either push against pressure or pull against pressure. The push against pressure is like the puppies within the litter. There's a bunch of puppies. They go to push between the litter to get up to mom to nurse. They're pushing. They get something caught around them. They pull themselves out of it. So as soon as you put a leash or collar on your dog, what your dog responds is to either pull or push to get out of that pressure. The pressure is the same thing that the mother used to use in order to train the dog. Pressure release. So when you look at the tool of a choke chain, if it's used appropriately, it's a valuable tool. But with any tool that you have to have somebody or something on the other end of that tool. So the number one tool that a person should sharpen is their mind. The other thing that a person must do is when they're training their dog is put the time in. Have an individual that came through game fair, has been out here many, many times, and I watch him walk his dogs down game fair. He's got an e-collar on his dog. He's got a pinch collar on his dog. He's got a choke chain on his dog. And the dog still doesn't walk with him. And he yells at his wife, oh, those things just don't work. I wanted to say to him, you give me 2 seconds with your dog, and I guarantee every single tool that you have on your dog will work. But I can't fix moron. As soon as somebody comes with an antidote for that, please let me know, because I'm going to market it and I'm going to sell it because it will help a lot of individuals when it comes to that dog. Now, if that was you, I apologize if I hurt your feelings. Today's 2017. I apologize. But anyway, so the tool is not the key. You can go out and buy yourself the best electric collar. E-collars are great tools, and I'm going to show you how to use one today. There's one thing I'm going to add to your training scenario. When you put this leash on your dog and you give that correction, you have to have a communication line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this first dog. His name is Magnum. Now Magnum is a green dog. Okay? Now this is what a person brings home when they get a dog. I'm going to run over here behind this guy. Trust me. When a person grabs this dog, here, bud. This is what they have. Okay? They get a dog, they go out to gate for that dog's dragging them around, they buy a dog. This is what they have, right? They love them. Okay? Now, first things first, no? And I'm going to start teaching them a command. No. Okay? Sit. Now, in communication, you saw me when I gave the pressure on him, I did what? I set an associated word with that pressure. Why? Because when I don't have the leash and collar on my dog, I want to have a command line that communicates with him. But I don't want my dog just to stop pulling me. But the pulling is the first thing I want him to stop. No. No. Good boy. Now, one time, a person asked me yesterday, well, when do I give my dog the treat? Anybody going to answer that question? When they're good. That's a good answer. I give my dog a treat whenever I want to. I don't pay my dog to work for me. He's under contract that says he works for me because I said so. Because in the dog's world, that's how their world works. That's why a lot of times people have individual problems with their dog because they ask their dog to do something and they ask their dog to do something. When the dog doesn't do it, the dog fails, they get mad at the dog, they start hollering and screaming, start throwing things, come over here, do this. And guess what? The dog has no clue what you're asking him to do. So I'm going to teach him. Now the first command I started with him was a no command. No. Now you notice I just corrected him. There's no adverse behavior with the correction. I can go, no. All I'm doing, no. Sit. All I'm doing is giving a word to my physical action. That's all I'm doing with the correction. So the tool of this slip lead works exactly the same as my voice, or it works exactly the same as the mother would when she corrected her puppy. But now I'm going to move up because this particular dog may need more correction. But I see a person go, my dog still pulls at me. A choke chain I put on him, it doesn't work. So oftentimes you'll see a person buy this tool. Okay? Now, if anyone of you have ever worked with, anybody has ever worked with this tool, it's cumbersome, correct? This is a pitch collar. You take it, you put it on your dog. Okay? It works commercially the exact same way the mother's bite works. It's actually an easier tool on a dog than a choke chain is. But this is the tool. I'm not going to use that one. I graduate my dog up to same type of tool. Easier to use. This is a keeper collar. It's a training tool. That's all it is. It's a command used for me to give my dog that physical no correction so I can stop him from doing a negative action when he's in the midst of doing a negative action. So now I want my dog to walk with me. I want him to walk by my side. I want him to sit on command. I want him to sit, stay. I want him to make retrieve. I have a whole outline of what I want my dog to do. Now, I just mentioned have an outline. When you talk about having an outline of what you want your dog to do, it's one of the most important things that you can do with your animal. You watch all the seminars today. Every single trainer that you will view has something that task they want their dogs to achieve at the end. And took an outline to get there. And some trainers are better at it than others. I'm obviously, in my own mind, the best. But I love all the other guys out there. Because guess what? Every single trainer out there has one thing in common. Making sure all dogs are safe. So, now I want my dog to be obedient. Obedience, no. is just a line of communication for the dog to understand what I'm asking him to do. So I'm going to start out with my general command. I want him to walk on my side. Heel. Sit. Now, if you notice, in a young dog, when I tell him to sit, I'm going to physically put him in the sit position. And I'm going to show you two different ways of showing your dog how to sit. One way is to take that treat, you stand over your dog's head and you go like this, and you go like this, and you beg him and beg him and beg him and beg him and beg him, and then when you finally sit down, you go, my dog knows to sit. Actually, he doesn't. When the average person takes the dog and holds a treat over their head, the dog sits because it's an easier position for them to see where the treat's at. So we can lull in the false sense of security that the dog understands what they're asking it to do. Okay? So, rather than teaching that, we've already gone through yesterday's of training, so now he's responding to command already. You're not supposed to do that. Good enough, you don't know. Okay? So, the two ways of showing how to teach a sit command. The average person will take their dog to sit this way. They'll take their hand, don't look. They'll put it in the, don't look. They'll put it in their hand, they'll put their hand in their dog's loin. Okay? And they'll put pressure above in front of the hips and the dog will sit. Or they'll force the dog into the sit position. Okay? Another way to do it if you have a dog that struggles a lot, slide your hand back to here. Tuck the tail. They naturally bend their knees because you tuck their tail. And you've taken the pressure off the hips rather than putting. Are you becoming smart? That'll get you nowhere. Tuck the tail, put him in the sit position. Now, every single time that I show my dog what a command is, I give him the word and the physical action. I'm giving him the word and the physical action. Here's the reason for giving your dog the word and the physical action. There's a 4-letter word. It starts with an S, ends with a P. Does anybody know what that word is? Stop. How many times do you think the average person gets reinforced the word S-T-O-P on a given day? Give me a number. I see you mumbling. Give me a number. A dozen at least. Give me another number. 2 dozen. 2 dozen. Those are good numbers, by the way, but if you look at the average person, they get reinforced the word S-T-O-P on a given day. You see brake lights. What have you been trained to do? Stop. You get to a period at the end of a page. What have you been trained to do? Stop. You get to a doorknob. Stop. Stop signs. Red lights. The average person gets reinforced that single word over 50,000 times a day, and they don't pay attention to it. But they'll take their dog home, give them a command 4 times, and expect them to know it. It's physically impossible. So what does that tell you? Up your repetitions of training your dog before you make the statement that my dog understands what I'm asking it to do. Just like if you're doing your dog and you're doing water retrieves, blind retrieves, if you have not made that animal do it 500 times, it doesn't know. The formula that I give most of my groups is 1,000 times on leash for your dog to accomplish it. 1 time off leash without an additional command. 1,000 to 1. If you ever use that formula, guess what? Your dog never fails you. Because you've shown it enough times not to. So we've got him in the sit command. This whole time I've been also working on my stay. So heel. No heel. No heel. No. Now my no, you notice I give him the no, the correction on the no. I want him to walk by my side, but I'm also going to want him to maintain a position so I can work retrieve. So now I've got him heeling and sitting, but I'm also going to want him to stay. Stay. No, sit. Stay. And teaching a stay command is one of the hardest commands to teach a dog because they don't understand it. It has no meaning. Oftentimes a person will go from working the stay to movement too fast. So when you take your dog and you want him to stay in your boat, you don't want him reaching your blind, you work your stay without any other types of distractions, so your dog understands what that word means. Next thing your stage is, you go up and you work your dog with distractions without them doing the retrieve, so they know what that means. And as you build your dog, you'll have a dog that's more secure in your command. Stay. No, sit. Now I'm going to correct his position because I wanted to make it stay. And I'm physically holding him where I want him to be. No. Place. Stay. Now, as I build, in this short time frame, I'm doing a basic retriever training of the dog.